Hi, everybody. We are the Good Doctors of Happy Research. I'm Dr. Erin.
I'm Dr. Kristen.
We are joining you post Handmaid's Tale coverage to delve into another show about ladies that is actually joyful.
A real left turn. We're doing a real sharp
Complete
90 degrees.
180. We are talking about Glow, the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, which is now in its third season on Netflix. We are not going to be doing episode by episode because that's a lot of episodes and we don't have that kind of time. So we're going to be doing them in 5 episode chunks, which will get us through all 3 seasons in about 6 weeks, getting us all the way up to our coverage of The Crown. So we're looking at Glow for a lot of reasons, but namely because we spend a lot of time talking about on our channel, offline, in our friendship, everywhere.
With our clients, yeah.
Representation of women in art and the diversity and the wonderful spectrum that is people who identify as women, people of the female sex, whatever. And so this seemed like a great opportunity to do a similar discussion to what representation looks like of women's stories in some other pieces of art, but look specifically at a show about ladies wrestling. So in the first 5 episodes, before we get started, I wanted to say I did look up representation in behind the camera and in the writer's room because we talked a lot about this in The Handmaid's Tale in the last season, particularly at the breakdown of gender. I did not look at representation for people of color yet with Glow. I will go back in and look at that for our next set of reviews for the episodes 6 through 10 of the first season. But as far as women go, it was created by 2 women, Liz Flahive and Carly Mensch, who both have a lot of experience on shows like Orange is the New Black, Nurse Jackie, Weeds. So you think of strong female characters, diverse female representation. They're hitting it out of the park.
Female anti-heroes, which
Yeah.
Alison Brie flirts with, so
Yeah,
it makes sense.
She's such a great anti-hero. For directors, 8 of the 13 directors have been women, and for writers, 8 of the 11 writers have been women. So, I mean, it shows, right? Like, right off the bat, you can tell that the show is written by women, directed by women. Pretty much on the reg. And why do we see that? Like, that's one of the interesting things that we like to look at. Like, what does it mean when you have diversity writing and producing and directing shows? It means that this beloved show passes the Bechdel test, which means that lots of conversations happen between 2 women characters that do not revolve around a man.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the diversity of this wonderful hodgepodge misfit group of women.
And I think, too, it means that none of the conversations that people have or the issues that are brought up, it never feels like an after-school special.
Right.
Like, we're not talking about the face in the milk carton here. Like, this is, like, we have, there's, the opening conflict of kind of the opening arc of the storyline is one character sleeping with another character's husband.
Yeah.
And that is not dealt with in this, like, very nice packaged, like, kiss and make up kind of way. Like,
Right.
Both of them are given the space to have the feelings and the emotions and the repercussions that would very much happen from that event.
Yeah, and it's not in that binary either, right? Like,
No.
I mean, Alison Brie's character, Ruth, is
Frequently a terrible human being, but also frequently wonderful.
but she's complicated, and even from the outset in these first couple episodes, I think you find sympathy with her character, even though she did sleep with her best friend's husband.
Yeah, for sure. She's also, I think, like I said to you offline, like, all of these feel like people.
Yes.
And that's something that, like, sometimes watching Handmaid's Tale, they don't feel like people.
Right. Or it feels like they're having the characters say something or do something that's almost like a tick box.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's like, this is also, there are many ways, excuse me, there are many ways to tell stories, right? There are stories that are plot driven. There are stories that are character driven. There are stories that are in between. And you and I tend to be drawn to more things that are character driven. And which is why stuff that is often plot driven drives us insane. And so this show, I think, hits the balance really well.
Yeah.
Where it is both, like, the characters are making organic actions that drive and fulfill the plot machinations.
Yeah, 100%.
But they are not like just hamsters in a wheel making the plot happen.
Yes, yeah. And so the plot is roughly that this misfit group of women all show up to audition for this show being directed.
Sorry, it's set in the 80s. That's a really important part of this.
That is a huge important part of understanding the hair and the makeup and the music and the references. But all these women show up. It's an audition for unconventional women, which I love that, like, just phraseology. And the first 5 episodes is just kind of figuring out what's happening and what it means to be a wrestler and what it means to produce a TV show. And they've got the struggling, sarcastic, down on his luck director.
Played by podcast's famous Marc Maron. For anyone who listens to WTF with Marc Maron, he is the director in this particular show.
Yes, and I know you're not a super fan of his podcast. I've not listened to it. How do you feel about him as Sam?
I should say the thing I don't love about his podcast is that it rambles a lot, and I find him to be self-centered. Right. So I figured that as a person, if he was given a script, like as an actor, if he was given a script, it would probably be better.
Yeah.
No, I think he's perfect. I think he hits the notes perfectly.
He has he has some of the great, like, lines.
Yeah. And Marc Maron's like personal story is that he was a comic forever and was a total absolute terrible person, and to everybody, hurt everybody that he knew. And part of the process of the podcast, which is bringing on fellow comics, for some of them is making restitution.
Yeah.
And having conversations. And so I think he understands what this feels like. He's lived in this character's skin.
Right.
And you can kind of you can really tell that.
It feels really organic. One of the great lines he has in the second episode, which is a lot about, like, he's trying to get Debbie to be on the show. But it's also a lot, there's the real kind of undertones of body image and sexism and misogyny that he kind of deals with when he's trying to get Debbie to come on the show because she was on a soap opera. And so he uses what I love about this, I'm not saying it articulately, but what I love about this show is that it deals with these issues really organically. So it's not that, as you said, like after school special moment, or it's not, the end of Full House where the music changes and this is our lesson for today's episode.
Yeah.
It's like, no, trying to be a woman actor in the 80s, you got typecast, especially a blonde woman with big boobs like Debbie, as a stupid bimbo.
Yeah.
And she had to work her way around that. And he tries to present her this opportunity as a way to get out of that.
Yeah.
And he has a great line that he gives to Ruth too, about just like, finding who her character is going to be. And he just says, try not giving a fuck. There's power in that.
Mm.
And so, like, even just this idea of letting go, finding out who you are when you're trying to find a wrestling character, like, it sounds really cheesy, but I think that's one of the biggest and the most fun parts of these first 5 episodes is kind of seeing these women figure out who they're going to be.
And what's interesting to me too is that so Maron's character, I can't remember, and then
Sam.
Thank you, Sam, and then Piz from Veronica Mars, who is just producer. Whose name is Bash on this show, which makes me want to like say Franklin and Bash after that absolutely terrible TNT show.
Oh, Mark Paul Gosselaar has made some choices.
So has Breckin Mayer, man. So
they've both made some choices. Yeah,
some choices. They superimpose a lot of things on these women and tell these women what they're going to do, and the women constantly take it back.
Yeah,
and are constantly making it their own. And there is this real give and take of like, no, that's not like how this character is going to be, or that's not the words I'm going to do. And the most powerful stuff comes when the women create things together.
Yes.
Which as a creative process, like most people who have been in theater or physical art in some way will tell you that very rarely does the best work come from a director. Like the best work comes from playing off each other. And that's why people who act with green screens are so incredibly impressive to me, because the best work comes with the give and take.
Yeah, and when you can create the world that you're in. And like one of the really key scenes, I think, for this first 5 episode arc is with Bash and the women at his like house party that he throws. and he
With the drug robot. Yeah.
the drug robot, and he gives them all these costumes and then tries to push them. Like, wrestling is based on stereotypes. Like, it's a giant soap opera. But it's so great to see him like stereotype these women based on their ethnicity, based on their size, mostly based on their race and ethnicity. And to see them push back against this and try and find ways to be authentic to who they are. That's not, this giant stereotype. And eventually I think they're going to have to play into the stereotypes because it's going to have to sell.
And the shorthands sell.
And the shorthands sell and people identify with it. And it is the 1980s, right? So this is not the feminist revolution. But that you get those moments where he's trying to help them find out who they're going to be. And that's really great. He gives them a lot of power by giving them those, outfits. Yeah. And encouraging them to play and have fun and experiment and be creative. But then they're still just like, no, I don't think I want to be a Lebanese terrorist. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much. And for me, the most powerful scene in the entire arc was actually between Alison Brie's character, Ruth, and another character named Sheila. And they've been forced to be
the wolf-like character. She's like, yes.
Yeah. And we did a little Orange is the New Black in that episode where we started to get some things from Sheila's perspective after getting nearly everything from either Sam, Debbie, or Ruth's perspectives.
Right.
And so now we're starting to branch out a little bit. Oh, also, who's the trainer? What's her name?
Cherry.
With the husband, Cherry. So we get some stuff from Cherry's perspective too.
Yeah, I love Cherry.
I love Cherry. I love Cherry's husband.
Yes.
I love it all.
They're great.
But anyway, so Sheila is a little bit eccentric by the most gracious term, I think. Yes. And no one in the group really knows how to deal with her. And so she does something very weird happens in her and Ruth's hotel room. Yeah. And Ruth just rolls with it.
Yeah.
And then refers to Sheila as a wolf.
Yeah.
Which is like all Sheila has ever wanted is to be seen for who she thinks she is, which is a wolf. And so we can scoff at that and laugh, and like it's certainly a lot of times played for laughs within the show.
Right.
But the very, very tender moment of this washed up, frustrated, manic actress looking at this woman and seeing her for who she is was like, for me, that was it. I was like, okay, if I wasn't in the show, but like for the show before, that would have been the linchpin. Like, okay, I want to see what stories these women are going to tell, because if you can craft that relationship that quickly in 3-4 episodes, I will give you guys 30 more of my time. Like, awesome.
100%. Yeah. And I think too, the dichotomy between Ruth and Sheila in those scenes, in that Ruth is just trying whatever she can to find any character.
Foothold. Yep. Any foothold.
Foothold. And she is grasping at everything. I mean, I still think I would love to see the premenstrual syndrome character show up again at some stage, but I know that probably isn't great for television. No. But she has no idea who she is. And she is completely floundering, especially since her whole break of her friendship with Debbie, which is a central character dynamic of the show. And then to come against somebody who knows exactly who she is and who is not playing a character. And that's what Sheila communicates to her. She's like, this is me.
This is who I am. I am a she-wolf.
I am not pretending. I have been this way for a long time. And to have that kind of radical authenticity against somebody who has spent her whole life pretending to be other people and has no idea who she is as a real person.
It was stunning.
Yeah. And it's so simple, right? And I think that's one of the things that the show does really well is these simple moments. They're not hitting you over the head with a skillet, but you come out of the episodes being like, wow, that was really amazing 3 minutes. And then they go back to wrestling. I think the wrestling is used as a great comedic tool to kind of lighten the more serious moments, but and then the last episode I think is such a great way to close out this 5-episode arc where Carmen decides to take Debbie and Melrose, I forget her real name, I think Mel is her real name, Melanie, to a wrestling match.
Oh my god.
And it's so just the face acting of the actress who plays Debbie is really, really great. Ruth finds her character as like Soviet, like Zoya, which is hilarious.
Sure. Yeah.
And vaguely racist. But they all go, and like the moment Debbie realizes that wrestling is a soap opera, and she's like,
yep. And she knows how to do that.
She's like, I was on a soap opera. I know how to act. Like, I've got this. And like, it was really, really cool just to see that and to see them realizing their own power to tell these stories too. So I'm excited for where the rest of the season's gonna go.
Absolutely. So the first episode's a little bit longer than all the others. It runs about 40 minutes. All the rest are between 25 and 30.
Yeah.
So it's a real quick sit. Let Netflix just, put it on for you as you
they may prompt you every now and then. Are you still watching?
Yeah. This gets a thumbs up from the good doctors, and we hope that you join us for the next couple of videos as we watch this wonderful series.
Well, we're excited. So we will see you next week for episodes 6 through 10 of season 1, closing out season 1. For now, we are Dr. Erin.
Dr. Kristen.
We hope everybody has a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.